you want to use this, so you kind of just toast it like this right here. I can toast it for you if you want me to.
Yeah, bro.
You toast it first.
All right.
Make sure it's nice and even. And once it's nice and toasted, you can pretty much just
puff off that. Nice. Way different than a fat 3-gram backwoods. A lot different.
Looks like it's a nice even burn. So watch. Just toast you real quick.
Is anything off limits? I should ask.
Not really, no.
All right. We're not ruining brand deals or nothing like that?
No, we got...
No,
I think I think you're good right there.
All right. You got to let me know, too, if, like, this is trash or not. And be real. Like, if it's actually good.
It's nice and sweet. I will tell you this.
It's gay.
This is the sweetest cigar I've ever had.
So you're saying I'm gay?
No, I'm not saying you're gay. I would never say it about you.
Thank you, bro.
I'm just saying this cigar is the sweetest I've ever had. But this is my first, what's it called? Fat Bottom Betty, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I like the name. It's a nice name, so I don't,
Fat Bottom Betty.
You would think Fat Bottom Betty would be sweet, right? So
I would say so. Yeah. That's a good intro right here, but I'm going to properly intro. Let me look here. Welcome back, everybody, to the Catholic Warrior Podcast. My name's Isaac Padilla. I'm your host, and I'm here with my guide, the Mexican Rocky. You guys know him as Voice of Reason, my man.
The Mexican Rocky, I love it, man. It's funny because I'm still with my cousins. I have family here, and we went to go check in with them when we got here. And my cousin, he got me a little like Rocky, like what are those called? Like the little Funko Pop bobbleheads. He's like, this is for you. I got this for you because you're Rocky. So I'm cool. So I should have had it. I have it in the truck, so I could just put it right here. It's all good.
So it's a fam thing too.
And so they all know that I'm Rocky, man. You know what I mean?
I mean, how many times have you heard it, honestly?
Man, if I had a dime for every time someone called me Rocky, man, I wouldn't need to monetize YouTube. You know what I mean? I'd be set.
And another thing too, because I kind of like thought these things through in my head before. I want to let everybody know that you're from New Mexico.
Yep.
We're both from New Mexico.
Both from New Mexico,
You're
man.
from I saw the area code.
Yeah.
505. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
You're from the norte.
It was cool the way that you and I got together, man, because I actually met your parents. I met your family. First, they came to visit my church. They were passing through Albuquerque. And I got to meet your father, your mother, your siblings. They came to my Byzantine Catholic church in Albuquerque, man, and they were so cool. They were like, hey, we got to connect you with my son. He makes content too. And I was like, oh, who's your son? And he's like, oh, it's, Catholic boy. I'm like, yo, of course I know your son, man. Like, yeah. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, man. So it was cool, man. It was cool that we. It was really through your props, man, that we got to link up, and now we're sitting here, man, having a Fat Bottom Betty and relaxing, man. We just had a really good meal. Yeah, we just ate a ton of food, man. Lately, this has been a trend that I've noticed, man. We'll sit down to these podcasts, but before the podcast, whoever I'm sitting with, man, they just feed me like nonstop, man. So I'm like, me and my producer are very happy boys right now,
I already know.
We got a good dinner, cigars, so we're happy, man.
We got to check the macros on that. I'm not gonna lie.
We got to check the macros, man. I got a lot of work I need to do, man, because my guests, man, they're, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking of, let's rewind a little bit. Actually, hold on. It's cool to hear your side. Even just like meeting my dad and my family. Yeah. Because like when my dad called me, we have these talks all the time. My dad will call me. We totally like fanboy over stuff. You know what I mean? It's always Catholic talk. Straight up, always Catholic talk.
Yep.
And he calls me. He's like, guess who I saw in Albuquerque? And I knew it was you. I was like, I knew it was.
Either me or John Jones, right?
I know. Yeah, either one of the two. Right? Yeah. But I mean, I was super hyped up too. Yeah. And that was like last fall. But I wanted to tell everybody else about how we first met too. Online at least, right? Right, yeah. Because when I was back in California, I started to see your TikTok videos. It was on TikTok. And bro, honestly, when I would see him, I was just like, this is my guy. Because he's like just destroying all the Protestant danglers.
Oh, man.
That's my guy. And the comments I was going through, and then I would notice like you commenting back to them, and it reminded me of my dad, like on Instagram, because my dad likes to go to war in the comment sections.
Oh yeah, he does. My man's pops is right behind the camera right now, so he's,
I'm not gonna act like he's not here. He's right there.
He's right there, man. He's watching, man.
Right there watching.
Yeah, man. This is really cool to be here. Thank you for having me here. You know, lovely home, hanging out with you, man. It's really cool to be here, especially because you're so close, man. You know, it's just a quick drive for us. So
it's crazy. For everybody that doesn't know, by the way, like we're from New Mexico. Like I don't know if you dealt with this your whole life, but especially when I was in California, bro.
They think we're not American, right?
Dude, why?
They think that we're from Mexico.
Okay, so you do. Get
I think all of us know, right? I think we all.
Why is it every time? You're from Mexico. No, I'm not from Mexico. I'm from New Mexico. In fact, my dad's running joke is, it's not new and it's not Mexico.
It's not new and it's not Mexico. That's right. That's right.
But you've got that a lot your whole life?
Oh, I think, and all of us that live here, man, I think we've all know that. They think we're exotic. Hey, they don't think we're exotic, man. It's all right.
Yeah. We're a real place.
We're exotic, man. It's cool.
We're a part of the United States, everybody.
We're Americans, man. We're Yankees, man. You know what I mean?
We're part of the United States.
I got my American passport in the truck right now for when I have to go back up Las Cruces, that checkpoint, you know what I mean?
Straight up.
Yeah. I got my passport on me. I was
100%.
born here, all right?
He's ready.
I can vote, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We're from the turf. Honestly, you're hyping me up for the New Mexico Pride. Bro, I don't know if, like, when I was in California, I took a lot of pride in, like, being from New Mexico because it was, like, it was different.
Yeah.
Another thing, too, is, like, because I was a musician, so I was in studios and stuff all the time. But people would notice, like, where's this guy from? Like, he's different. Because everybody in California was, like, just real busy and like in a rush, kind of like, you know what I mean? So they would notice things like I opened the door for somebody, or like I had manners, you know what I mean?
Simple things, yeah.
Yeah. Do you experience that, like traveling around? Do people comment on that or no?
With me, really, it's just the way that I talk, you know, that they always want to know.
Yeah.
People think I'm from like back east. People want to know, what am I? A lot of people think I'm like Russian, or that I'm like, you know, a lot of people think I'm European probably because I'm Byzantine, you know, so they think I'm from Eastern Europe or whatever. But
yeah,
they always get surprised because I guess for me, people think I'm native. Some people think I'm native, so they kind of have a hard time like pinning me down. So when I tell them I'm just Mexican, they're like, oh, you're just like us. I'm like,
yeah, you look Mexican.
What do you expect? You know,
What does people talk? Oh, also, I need you to torch me up again.
Yeah,
I went out.
Yeah.
But on the same line.
So go ahead and puff on it while I'm torching you. Put it, it'll burn forever.
Like
if you,
the backwards I used to smoke?
Yeah. Right there. There you go. You're good right there.
That's how I used to do it with the homies outside the studio.
Yep.
Yeah. Except it was like 5 gram blunt with weed.
Oh, yeah. I've never ever in my life tried drugs, had drugs, or drank.
Good for you.
And then just now before we started this, you had me sip a little. Was that whiskey, right?
Sorry.
I had
sorry,
never.
everyone.
So hey man, it's cool. It's all good, man. I had my first sip of whiskey, you know. So it's cool. I feel fine. It hit my producer pretty bad though. He was like feeling. He was
my guy.
He was interrupting, being rude and stuff. You know what I mean? Interrupting, you know. And I took some. I don't feel anything, man. I feel good, man.
Woodford Reserve. If this comes across any of your eyes, gonna need the bag.
I just do my zero sugar Gatorade. That's kind of my trademark. You know what I mean?
Yep. A lot of red 40 in there. Nice.
Yeah, pray for me, cause.
Bro, you know what's hilarious? I laugh about this too. Is like, right now, like, you know, we're on this whole health kick. Like me and my wife, like, we're in a position where we could buy like organic food and like Whole Foods and all this stuff, right?
Yep.
But I laugh because I'm like, bro, the life that I used to live is so insane.
So different.
Like, this was my day-to-day. Kid you not. I wake up probably like 12 p.m. because I'm still like recovering from the night before.
Yeah.
Right? A little groggy, wake up, roll up a big old blunt, like 3 gram blunt, smoke, get high, drink a Bang energy drink, my first one. I'd pair it with a Bang, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is how psychotic I am. I want you to understand
where
I was. And then I start to make music, right? Chill a little bit. Have my second Bang energy drink of the day.
Life of a rock star, man.
3rd Bang energy drink of the day. By the way, I don't say this to like, I'm not bragging. This is stupid. This is all stupidity, right? But honestly, the life that I used to live, man.
Right.
But I'm just like, okay, now I'm like Mr. Health Guy. I'm like, I won't eat seed oils. What I used to do.
And seed oils are bad for you, man. That's what I've heard. You know what I mean?
That's what I've heard too. But you know, it's good like to turn it around also, honestly. Like, especially if like you have bad habits. Like I grew up with a lot of just bad food habits, I would say, in general. You know what I mean? Like for you, you're Mexican. So how was it growing up? Like just nutrition, eating food? How was that for you?
Well, my thing, so, my mom's, man, she's a great cook, man. She makes great food, and her thing, she's very healthy. She's always wanted to be healthy, wanted her kids to be healthy. My thing, though, growing up, man, was that I would just not stop eating, bro. I would just keep eating and eating and eating, and it was like a problem, man. If you saw like a baby picture of me, man, it was like, I was born, I was like 400 pounds, man. It was.
You were a chunky boy.
You have no idea, bro. You have no idea. Like, you see my baby, you're like, yo, like, that was a heavy baby right there. I'm still the heavy baby, but yeah. So I was, but I'm also trying to be very health conscious as well. And our big thing, me and my man Roots, like, our problem is that whenever we travel, man, people are always putting food in our face and sweets and sugar and we don't want to say no because these people are out of love. So we're like, yeah, let's do it. So we just got back from California, man. We ate like
crazy.
We were eating like there was no tomorrow, man. It was crazy.
Imagine being a priest. It's crazy. Imagine.
Yeah, I know. 'Cause I was in seminary and I saw it, man. People come, bring food to the priests like every day, man. They always want to feed the priests. You know what I mean? And it's
I want to talk about that too because I learned a lot of like just interesting facts about your story so far. But I mean, okay, before the ministry that everybody knows from you, right? Voice of Reason. Like, let's rewind. Let's talk about childhood too.
Yeah.
Like, how did you grow up? Did you grow up in Albuquerque?
I sure did. Yeah. I was born and raised in Albuquerque, man. And I just grew up. I think just like really any other kid, man. I was just a happy kid, man. I was, I grew up. From the time I was little, just like all kids, man, with Batman. There was Batman, and then it was Batman, Power rangers, what else? Batman, Power Rangers, Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Z, all the best stuff, man, you know what I mean? And I was a happy kid, man. I was spoiled, man. I was a spoiled kid, and I come from a really good family, big family. Yeah. And I just, I was a very happy kid. You know what I mean?
Were you raised Catholic?
Oh yeah, raised Catholic, yes sir.
Were you formed well in the faith? Did you know your faith well growing up?
I mean, it was, going to mass every single Sunday. I was an altar server from the time I was, I think 8 is when I started. 8 or 9. But after First Holy Communion, they allow you to serve the altar. So yeah, I knew probably what the average, cradle Catholic knows growing up. That's more kind of culturally Catholic. It wasn't really till I was like 14, 15 when I really started really learning the faith. You know. So
okay, like this is a good point about. It's like a turning point that happened in your life, or what drew you into like really wanting to learn the faith? Because I think at 14, bro, at 14. I mean, I was a lost cause at 14 already, honestly. Oh, yeah. But 14 for you to be like, I want to learn about the faith. Like, what was that? Was it like a catalyst? You know what I mean?
I think that when you're that age, around that, early teen years, that's the time in your life when you get really curious about a lot of things, and that's kind of the time when you start to like, you start to adopt the things that are kind of like your thing. You know what I mean? For everybody, it's always like types of music. I dress in a certain way. I do this. I'm with this crowd. I hang out with this crowd. For me, my obsession, and I had all the normal obsessions, music, all that, girls, whatever it might be. But for me, the one thing that I was really passionate about was I just wanted to figure out, what was true, what is truth itself. I wanted to figure out, is the Bible true? Is Christianity true? What is, does God exist? These are all the big questions that I think most 14-year-olds probably ponder, But with me, I was just one of those kids that not only did I just ponder it, I went out and I went to go seek out the answers to my questions. And that's what I did, man. And that's what I've been doing ever since, just studying ever since 14, 15. And it's kind of funny, like I didn't do so well in school, in high school, because I wasn't really too concerned with like school stuff. I was more concerned with like reading, doing my homework, the stuff that I wanted to learn about religion and about history, and so I was just at that age, man. Something was just a grace from the Holy Spirit, man. That I became so curious about the big questions in life that the way I always describe it, was an obsession. and I was hungry, man. I just needed to learn everything that I could, and you know, through my studies, years of studying everything that I could get my hands on, you know, you come to the conclusion God exists because God has to exist.
Right.
It's logically impossible for God not to exist. God is personal. God reveals Himself to mankind in Jesus Christ, and the Catholic Church is the Church of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And these were the things that these are the truths of the universe.
Right.
God exists. God is personal. Jesus Christ is God. The Catholic Church is His church.
When was this solidified? Like, when did you know this for certain in your heart?
So I knew, you know, around like age, 15.
Wow.
15, 16 was when I knew like Christianity has to be true.
Right.
The conclusion that I came to was that any religion in the world is true. Christianity would be the one that's true. No other religion, you know, could be true, but Christianity can be true. It's the only one that can withstand scrutiny. And then like around like 17, 18 was when I was completely, you know, came to the conclusion, not only is Christianity true, but if Christianity is true, Catholicism is true Christianity, and Catholicism has to be true if Christianity is true.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So yeah, it was all just very logical. It was just me working things out, you know, through logic and reason, and through just a lot of just sincere and earnest
graces too, I would imagine.
It was only by God's grace, man, because I'm not that special, man. I'm not smarter than anybody. I really think that it was just like, if you ask people that know me personally, and like you ask them about Voice of Reason, you ask them about me, and they're like, yeah, that kid, like this is a little surprising that this kid is, you know, who he is.
Right.
It has nothing to do with me, man. It's all through God's grace.
Yeah.
That I'm able to do what I do. It was I can't take any credit for it, man. It was God that put that desire in me, God that allowed me to learn the things that I learned, and it's God that is allowing me to do what I do now as Voice of Reason, and He could take it away at any moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I am just along for the ride. I trust God in all things. Try my best to trust God in all things, and I try to just be faithful to the call that He has given me, and that's it, man. And just try my best to do all things in love. You know, I don't always succeed, man. Sometimes I can get pride and ego get in the way. But more than anything, I want to be faithful to what God has given me. I want to be faithful to Him and do right by Him, and just try to do all things with love.
Yeah.
And that's it, man. It's really kind of as simple as that, you know?
I share the same creed, man. And it's really fascinating to hear you say it, because even the way I view what God has done for me, a lot of times I struggle with this. It's almost like I call it like a survivor's guilt, you know, where it's like, I'll ask God, like, why did you do this to my life? Not in like oh, poor me. Like I'm so, I don't even know if grateful is the word. I just feel like I can't ever pay it back.
I know what you mean,
You know
man.
what I mean? I can't pay you back for what you've done for me, because I was such an idiot, and it could have been a wrap for me, bro. If I would have died when I lived the way that I lived, I would have been in hell forever. I mean, I know I can't say where I would have gone, but likely I would have
Right. You knew you were far away from the Lord.
I would have been cooked. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the fact that He came into my life, gave me the graces that was necessary for me to make this huge turn, and only through Him it's possible. You know.
Right.
But I feel the same way you do. Like,
man.
I'm not special. I'm like a big dummy, you know. And for some
Same here,
reason,
bro. Me
He
too,
just
man.
chose
Trust me.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I take it serious for that reason. I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? You know, because I will mess this up.
Yep.
If you left this in my hands, I will 100% mess this up. So I need you to help steer me. You know what I mean? But that's awesome, bro. It's really cool. Another thing that was interesting that I heard tonight is that you train as a boxer.
Yeah, I did for a little bit of time, man. You know.
Was that from a kid? Were you growing up?
No, I started I started late, man.
Really?
I actually started right after. It was right, because when I was in seminary, it was 2016. I was in seminary, and I took a year off, and then 2018 I went back to seminary. The year in between, in 2017, it was right after I turned 22.
Yeah.
I picked it up. So I picked it up really late, but I was always a huge boxing fan. Always, you know.
Yeah.
Always a huge fan, and I met a coach, man, who trained me. You know what I mean? Oh yes, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Joe Louis Murphy and Symbol of Stature, man. Those are Joe Louis Murphy, who was passed on to his heavenly reward, and similar stature, man. They showed me a love, unlike they took me in like if I was their son, and they showed me how to fight, man.
It's a different culture with fighting like that. It's interesting, And another thing you mentioned too, bro, from this last point, before I forget this, the search for truth, right? That's like a big, broad search for truth, right? But I think inherently, obviously, we're all, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you know more about theology, but like my assumption is we're all created to be with God, of course, I know that, but we have this yearning for God. I see that in people, right? And when I look back at like even my own journey this whole time, I was constantly yearning for him, even though I would say it was otherwise in my mind, right? Even if I sometimes would denounce him, which I would be mad at him, whatever. I was constantly in seek of him. And I think that's to be in search of the truth, right? But something I can relate to you on is like, as a real young kid, bro, I had this curiosity from the earliest I can remember of like, why am I here? Deep questions, 3-4 years old. Who am I, right? Why am I here? Who made me? Like these really deep, like philosophical questions, but from a very early age. And my family knew this of me. They were like, he's kind of weird. Like, why is he's 3 years old, 4 years old, but he's like asking these really deep, profound, like personal questions, right?
You were a theologian even back then, man.
Woo! Appreciate that. I just didn't know yet. But, in the same way that you explain it, like, I have these memories of looking at myself in the mirror when I was young. I must have been like, I don't know, 4, 5 years old, maybe, super young. And I would look myself in the eyes and I would ask this question. I would ask, who are you? And I would ask that over and over and over. And I would get to a point where I would almost disassociate with this reality. And I would almost like, it's like the veil was lifted of like who I am, if that makes sense. It's hard to explain it, but dude, I would do that when I was a kid until it would freak me out. And then I would stop. It was almost like a little superpower, you know what I mean? And I'd go back to it. You done anything like that or no?
Were you ever able to answer that question back then when you were little and do it? Like, did you ever give yourself an answer about who you were?
No, it would freak me out. It would freak me out to where
you didn't know who you were.
Bro, I literally would disassociate and I'm like, who am I? Like, you know what I mean? And I would trip out and I would stop and I'd like go back to my room. It's just a crazy memory that I have because as time goes on, the same curiosity existed. It still existed. I was just like, and I think this is like the story for everyone. It's like, what was I doing? I was trying to find him in here, right? I would abuse this. I've had a few glasses of whiskey tonight, right? But bro, I used to be drinking a fifth of Henny, right? I told you about the weed smoke, drugs, Adderall. I was trying to find him in these other things that I thought would fulfill me. And even back then, before I knew anything about the church, like there was this massive hole in my heart, bro. And I knew it. I was fully aware that I was incomplete. And for a thinker like you, because I know you are, and I'm the same way. I'm always in my head, constantly thinking. I knew back then, I was like, you're missing something. What is it though? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? And it's beautiful that, it seems like God gave you the grace to find that very early on. So like 14, 15. So, okay, when did you, because then you entered seminary, how old were you?
It was in 2016, so it was...
you were young.
It was, I was 20,
Super young, man.
Yeah.
What made you want to enter seminary?
So ever since I was, around 16 years old, I felt a calling to the priesthood. Actually, when I was little, I remember, and I never forgot this. When I was little, I remember on Easter one year, I must have been like maybe 9 years old. I remember my parents had like an Easter party kind of thing at the house, and the next door neighbors came over, and they were elderly, and Paul was his name. Paul, the elderly next door neighbor, man, they passed away probably like 15 years ago now.
Oh man.
they were like my grandparents, and distinctly remember, on Easter Sunday, Paul turns to my dad and he says, "Hey, I think you might have a priest on your hands. I think this young boy is going to be a priest." And I just remembered it. I remember I just looked at him. I was silent. I didn't say anything, and I just looked at that, and it was kind of like it was like just one of those moments that you just
I get it.
Like pivotal.
Yeah.
And then that thought was just always in my mind ever since then. And then it got serious, when I was 15, 16, and yeah, eventually 2016 I was in Mexico City just for a little bit. And then 2018 I was up north for a little bit in Española area, living with the priests up there, and yeah, man. But ultimately God, took me somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I think maybe that desire that I had, because I think it's a good thing. I think that all Catholic men should discern priesthood.
For sure.
Really should discern priesthood. I think it's important. All Catholic young men should. All young Catholic females should discern religious life as well. Discerned it, tried it, loved it. I loved it was very brief.
Yeah.
Very brief time in seminary, but I loved it, man. I loved every moment of it. But again, God was calling me to something else, and it seems like it's this right here,
It seems like it. What was the best part of being in seminary?
The best part of being in seminary, man, was, man, where do I begin? The living in a community, in the religious community with priests, because I had a special bond with each of the priests that I was living with. When I was up north, there was one priest, we would bond over sports.
Yeah.
There was another priest, because we all lived in one house. Another priest that we would bond over music. Another priest that we would bond over food.
That's awesome.
And then another priest who was the head of the house. He was my spiritual director. We'd bond over movies, over films.
Interesting.
So I had like a special
priest
relationship with each priest.
Yeah.
And these kind of relationships you can get with really anybody, but
for sure.
I'm with all these priests. These men are holy. These are holy men.
Yeah.
And they're showing me how to live a holy, virtuous life. And what I loved about it was just how normal it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that you would think that it'd be something very, very extreme or very different, but it was very normal. It was very peaceful, and it was just so full of joy.
Right.
And we every day just served the community is what we did.
Yeah.
What they did, and I was there shadowing them, following them, helping them, but they were just servants, man. They just served. Yeah. And I loved the relationships I had there. I loved the routine that we had, waking up early. The first thing we do is we get together at the chapel and we pray.
Yeah.
Then we go back to our rooms for a little bit, then we have breakfast, then we all go out and we all do our tasks for the day. Then maybe we'll come back and have lunch. Then we'll go back and do our tasks for the afternoon. Work, to the evening, come back, maybe have dinner, and then maybe after dinner go catch a movie or something. It was like that, man. It was very very structured, and it was just, I had a blast, man. It was some of the most beautiful moments of my life when I was there,
You were hanging out with the bros, basically.
You know what I mean? Hanging out with the pros, man.
That's beautiful. It's so important for us, too. I always talk about this, especially with my clients, too. Like, this is why I try to keep us in this community, even though it's virtual. And, there's a certain amount of, like, limitation that there's always going to be there because we're not in person like that.
Right.
But the camaraderie for us as men is
so important. Man.
So important. And, I mean, we're obviously different than women in that way, but like, men are interesting to where, like, you can get in a fight with a dude and be best friends with the dude after you fight.
Yeah, that's true, man.
It's so crazy.
That's a respect thing, man. I think that's for men, relationships, I think, are based off respect. And if you can fight with a dude and you can do it honorably, like, you like respect. You know what I mean? You earn respect, and then you can become best friends because when you respect someone, you can trust somebody. And I always say the two most important things in any relationship, in relationships with, whether it be with a friend, with a romantic relationship, with anyone, the two most important things, respect and trust. Yeah. Those are the two most important things, trust and respect. You need those two. If one or both of those are missing, man, that relationship is not going to work. Yeah. That friendship is not going to work. So, yeah, man, I think that there's really can't really think of a better way to earn another man's respect if you guys can go toe to toe and
throw down
and throw down, and you can, hey, man, and do it honorably, man. Yeah. When you do it honorably, like, all right, this is a man of respect,
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in your time training, like as a boxer, by the way, bro, sorry, I look like a total scrub to everyone.
Go for it. Here, if you want, I can handle. You just go up and it comes up and you can, you know what I mean?
All right, bro.
And you can take care of it.
I look even worse if you keep lighting it for me.
You might want to ash it first. That way you're not lighting the ash, and then you can, right there, and then you can probably.
Wait, so you hold it like this?
Yeah. It doesn't matter how you really do it. You could even, you know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Let me see if it might. Let me see the.
Here we go.
Might be out actually. I don't know. If you might want to use your.
Johnny's gotta chop this.
You can probably. Oh, there it is. Go for it, man.
We're keeping this in, by the way. This is hilarious. All right.
Go for it, man. There you go. There you go.
Now everyone knows I'm not really a man.
I always say that, man.
I'm just playing.
You're drinking whiskey, bro. I'm drinking zero sugar Gatorade. Who's the real man here, huh?
Dude, I got ash all over my jacket too. This is hilarious.
Gotta be careful, man.
Sorry,
Gotta be
Dad.
careful.
On your chair. I'm just keeping it real, man. You know, It's like, this is another thing I was talking to you about. Like, I think there's a lot of, let me know if you see this too. Big old bus driving by. Do you see this too with young men? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people that reach out to you and ask questions and stuff, but one thing that I see is there's a lot of maybe cultural Catholics that grew up like how I grew up, where they didn't really know like their faith well.
Yeah.
And they're curious. There's a lot of curiosity now because I believe the church is growing. Like, this is something that I see. And I mean, how do you deal with like those kinds of souls? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Those souls that are kind of like, I like to call them rough around the edges. You see a lot of those in your ministry?
People that are rough around the edges, well, every time I look in the mirror, man, I'm very rough around the edges. Very rough around the edges. Same. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, man. Because a lot of, holiness isn't like a cookie cutter thing. Like with holiness, the common denominator for holiness is that we all have the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. That's the common denominator. But the beautiful thing about being a follower of the Lord Jesus Christ is that holiness is something that is objective, but it can kind of look different. There's, that's the beautiful thing about the mystical body is that we're not all the same. We're different. Some of us are rough around the edges. Yeah. Some of us are a little more graceful, but that's beauty. That's the beauty of the mystical body of Christ. Yeah. Because you need dudes that are rough around the edges in the church. Yeah. Just like you need the very graceful guys in the church. Yep. God calls us, we all have different functions. Right. And God actually uses our personalities, our the traits that we have just in our character, our knowledge, the skill, whatever it may be. God uses that to be able to, for the gospel to be the promulgation of the gospel and for the glory of his kingdom, Mm-hmm. So I always tell people, I said, don't compare yourself. Don't compare. Don't think that you have to match exactly. You don't need to be a cookie cutter saint. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't need to be a cookie cutter saint. You need to be holy. Mm-hmm. You need to be holy. And yes, imitate the saints because the saints did it. Yeah. You imitate the saints, but imitating the saints doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to look and do exactly as they did, because God put you where you are for a specific reason, gave you the talents that you have for a specific reason, the personality you have, the temperament that you have, your background, whatever it may be, the way you grew up, the way you were raised, your outlook on life, things that make you unique. God gave you that for a reason, and he wants to use that uniqueness of you, that uniqueness that you have, he wants to use it for the glory of his kingdom. For sure. So I always tell people, don't feel bad if you're rough around the edges, because you know what? The apostles were very rough around the edges. Oh, yeah. Some of the greatest saints ever were very rough around the edges, even after their conversion, rough around the edges, man. Yeah. I really identify myself with like Saint Jerome, man, because Saint Jerome was a grumpy, mean, crusty old man, dude. Saint Jerome was like that, like he was like great granddad, you know what I mean? Like he was a grumpy man.
You got to tell me more about Saint Jerome.
But if you read Saint Jerome, and St. Augustine, man, they wrote a lot to each other. They always wrote letters to each other.
Were they homies or were they like?
They were homies, but they would get into like arguments, man. And St. Jerome, he would fight dirty, bro. Like they would have like a disagreement about something.
Yeah.
And St. Jerome would tell Augustine, because Augustine before his conversion, St. Augustine was like a playboy, bro.
Really?
St. Augustine was
I'm
like
familiar
the fourth century equivalent of like drug, sex, and rock and roll, dude.
Dang.
St. Augustine was, I'm talking like concubines, child out of wedlock. I'm talking like he had all of his, he had his live-in girlfriend, man. He had the honeys after him. You know what I mean?
Dang.
And Saint Jerome, when he and Saint Augustine, man, when they would have the correspondence, Saint Augustine would say something Saint Jerome didn't like, and then Saint Jerome would tell him, man, he would fight dirty. He'd be like, a man with a past like yours, of course, would think such a thing. Like he was like a super hardcore.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the most patient person, but he still became a saint. So St. Jerome prayed for me because I'm like you, St. Jerome. I need St. Jerome to pray for me because I need to learn to be more patient, a little bit more humble.
Yeah.
And he's a saint, so he made it. So any defects that he had, God took care of that. And I think, St. Jerome was a really good example of a saint that loved God despite his flaws.
Right.
Right.
It's beautiful, man.
So.
Yeah. And I mean, it's encouraging to because I think it's a common misconception amongst like I said, like cultural Catholics that don't necessarily know better. You know what I mean? They don't know their faith well enough to understand. I mean, even bro, the other day, for sure. Yeah. You're gonna light it up all gangster.
We're gonna be lighting it up, man, like just
like I mean? Do it good. You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
I did it horrible.
If I can get this to work.
There you go. Yeah.
What were you saying, man?
No, I was saying the other night, I taught my grandmother what it meant to actually be a saint. This is another just common misconception, right? I also used to think this where I'm like, a saint, like you mean the most holy of the holy, like the saints that we know of, right? That are given title of a saint. Right. But then my dad actually told me this. He's like, no, it just means that you're in heaven with God. Right. That's what it means to be a saint. Right. I was like, what? How did I not know this for, 25 years or whatever? But another common misconception is all of the saints, right? Even the most famous saints, most people will likely, if you're just a common person, you're probably not going to live some profound, insane, holy, wild life. Maybe you will. That's awesome. You know what I mean? But the majority of us are going to have, like you say, very normal, simple lives. So holiness, the way you're teaching me now is to be holy with what you're given, basically, what's in front of you, who you are. Is that what you're saying?
So there's a really important saint that's a recent saint from a couple hundred years ago, from the 19th century. Saint Therese of Lisieux, the little flower, man. Let me tell you, she is a doctor of the church, actually. She is one of the most impactful saints ever. Her impact was huge, and she was not a mystic. She did not perform miracles. She did not have special charismatic gifts of the Holy Spirit. Yeah. She didn't have a cool backstory. She wasn't from the hood and became super, you know what I mean? Nothing like that. She wasn't it wasn't like a movie. Yeah. Saint Therese of Lisieux, man, she's famous they called her, her path to holiness was the little way. Yeah. She said, don't concern yourself with trying to do all of these big things. She said, what you want to do to be a saint, she said, do every little small thing you do. Do it with all of the love that you can. Wow. Do little things with great love. Little things with great love. Yeah. You do it with great love, man, and you become a saint. You know what I mean? Yeah. I grew up going to Saint Therese of Lisieux in Albuquerque, man, really? Saint Therese Parish. Yeah. Saint Therese, man, she is one of the most influential saints, and she didn't do anything extraordinary. She was just extraordinarily holy, because she did all things with great love. Yeah. Great love, Yeah. And it's funny because just the other day, earlier this week, my dad, so he has a shop,
What kind of shop?
He's a mechanic.
Okay, cool.
He has a shop, and I go and I help him as often as I can, whenever I can. And I go and I clean for him, right? I go and I clean the shop up because he's so busy, man. So I go and I'll clean for him, and I'm you know, I clean the bathroom, I like scrub the toilet, you know what I mean? So we're in California. I was talking to Lila Rose. I was on a podcast with Lila Rose. And then 2-3 days later, I'm in my dad's shop, just like scrubbing the toilet, like clean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was funny because my dad has a client, man, and she's actually a really good friend of mine, man. She's a great friend of mine. Her name's Angela. She's like she's from New York, and she's Italian.
Yeah.
And she's the best, man. She's so funny. And she like comes over and she's like, she sees me and she's like, what is this? She's like, Alex, what are you doing? Aren't you like famous? Aren't you like a celebrity? Like, why is your father having you clean the toilet?
Soprano's wife?
Like,
Nice.
aren't you like famous? Like, can't you like hire somebody to, you know what I mean? And she was, she was joking, but she was kind of serious. She's like, didn't you just go like on some quest to California? You're like so famous. Like, I can't go to a church and talk to anybody who doesn't know you, Alex. Like, what are you doing here? Like, you know.
Yeah.
And it was funny, but here's the thing. If I wouldn't be willing to go and help my father out and scrub the toilets, I'm not as holy as I should be.
Yeah, it's a great point, bro.
If you think that if you're too important to go and help a family member and go clean and go, you know, get oil all over you and go clean and go take the scrap metal to the, you know, and be out there in the sun, you know, dumping all the metal out.
100%.
If you think you're too important to do that, you're not holy enough. If you wouldn't be willing to do that out of love, you're not holy enough, man.
That's a great point.
You're not holy enough.
It's a great point.
So I thank God so much
Yeah.
that He has kept me from being one of those guys that's like, I don't need to do this. I'm too important. I'm a YouTuber. I'm a TikTok, whatever. Like, who cares?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
The important thing is, it doesn't matter what you do. It's, are you holy?
Right.
Are you holy?
Yeah.
Do you do small things with great love? And that's what it's all about. You know, if I were to, I do make all my videos and I teach the faith, but if I can't do that for my father or be a good son, try to be a good son and hold my tongue, whatever it may be a good, you know, a good brother, a good member of the community.
Yeah.
If I can't do those things, then what I'm doing here, it doesn't matter, man.
For sure.
It really doesn't. You know what I mean? It's about being holy. That's what I'm concerned with.
Yeah.
You know? So God help me, man. God help me, because I can't do it by myself, man.
Yeah, man.
Nobody can.
Yeah, it's interesting you make this point. By the way, I'm gonna steal that lighter real quick. Here. On this same point, you know, back when I had my reversion and everything was real crazy in my life, and like my life was just changing so drastically.
I think we're having trouble with that. You might want to use your I know you had your lighter.
I think
that might work better. You might, the lighter should work.
Anyway, so during this period of my life, like when I was first coming into the church, dude, everything was so just insane still in my life of learning all these things, right?
Yeah, it works way better. By the way, these cigars, I like how they burn, man. I really like how these burn.
They went out like 5 times already.
Really, yeah, but they still burn. It's a nice thick smoke, man. So I'm good, man. You did good.
All right. So you're saying I'm not gay with the selection?
I would never say that about you, man. You never said it about you.
By the way, Trump's in office. We can say gay now, I think.
We can say gay now?
You know what I mean?
I'm going to say everything that I couldn't say back in December, you know what I mean?
Back in like 2 months ago.
Yeah, you know?
Everyone's like out of the shadows, like creeping out.
Everyone is, I don't know.
You know what I mean? We can say gay again? Nice. That's how it is, bro.
It's funny.
But no, bro, it's a great point you make, because me and my dad, we talked about this before, but when I first moved back, well, one, it was like the biggest, it wasn't even like a slice of humble pie. It was like God smashed the whole pie in my whole face, you know what I mean? It was just like nothing but straight humility for like months at a time, bro.
Thank God, man. That's what we all need, bro. Thank God.
I needed it. You know, I mean, he knows I'm a prideful bastard, so I needed to get smacked around, straight up.
You're preaching to the choir, bro.
You know what
Trust
I mean?
me.
But, you know, there was a couple very important, like, very humbling parts of the journey. One of them was the fact that I was living in my mom's house, in my old room, with my, now she's my wife, but at the time she was my girlfriend.
Right.
And we were pregnant with our first child. That was a very humbling thing. Because I told you earlier, like, I was at a point in my music career where I was like about to blast off. Like,
Right.
I told you there was this video of Drake streaming my song.
Drake was bumping your joint, bro.
Like,
That's crazy, man.
I was like, I'm gonna be famous. Like everything I planned, like in my head. And I was like on this I told you so kind of run. All the people that, even though nobody like discouraged me, I don't think, just in my mind I was like, I made it, you know what I mean? I had this like chip on my shoulder. But I'm saying like he really humbled me in this profound way where like now all that's gone. Like it was like a little peak, a bubble, boom, just exploded. Now I'm back in this room with this woman, with my child in her room, in my mother's house. And I'm like, well, what's happening in my life? It's right before COVID, right? The world's starting to freak out. I'm like, am I gonna die of the plague at 21 years old? Like everyone's freaking out. And time goes on and just nothing but just more humility, right? Eventually we go through the miscarriage a few months later. That was like that was the pinnacle of like God bringing me down to my knees and being like, well, what now? You know? That's where I really understood like, well, there's nothing else but you. That's it. It's just you here, you know? And along the journey too, like I can relate to you just helping, okay? At a certain point, I was working for my dad's construction company.
Yeah.
And that was maybe the most humiliating thing in a good way that I went through during that time, because I went from like rock star musician, everybody's telling me I'm awesome, I'm about to blow up, to now I'm pouring slabs of concrete at 6 a.m. with the crew and I suck at construction. I sucked. Bro. And it was like, and bro, you know, I had this good, he was my boss. His name was Clemente. We got real close. And he just really taught me a lot of like profound lessons. He's just a good man. He's a good man. Yeah. And like I said, I sucked. Like I didn't even know how to use a shovel good. Right. You know? Yeah. I was like, I can't speak Spanish fluently. All these guys are speaking fluent Spanish. I'm like learning all the bad words in Spanish from the construction site. But you know, it just, to what you're speaking to, it's like, yeah, can I still come and do this despite what God has given me and blessed me with? Because ultimately it's Him that's giving you all this, right? I don't ever want to have this like, well, I made it, and you know what I mean? Like I didn't pour it, but I helped. Still horrible job because I suck at it. But when we built this new house, I mean, God has blessed us enough to be able to build this new house. You know, I can have this house for my family, but I wanted to go and make it a point to be there with that crew and be on the pour. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even though I sucked, you know, and I kind of just walked around a lot, but
you know, again,
honestly,
even again, back to Saint Teresa of Lisieux, man. She'll even tell you, she's like, hey, man, if you suck, hey, we can't all be good at everything, but if you're doing it faithfully, with love, and you're out there honestly, and you're like, that's holy, man. That's holy, bro. Even if you're not good at it, man, even if you don't, you know, even if I'm not a very good mechanic or whatever, if I'm not the best at cleaning the shop or scrubbing the toilet or whatever, maybe I'm not I can't, no one can clean like my mom, you know what I'm saying? No one's going to be able to do it like my mom. Nobody can. I'm not going to be, another thing, I cannot outwork my father, bro. My father, he's 30 years older than me, man, and that man works like, he puts me to shame. He puts me to shame, and I'm like, same. I'm over here, you know, whatever, complaining about not getting enough sleep or whatever. This man for you know, almost 40 years now, you know, Monday through Saturday, from, you know, just working like, they don't make them like that anymore, man. Like my pops, like your pops. It's humbling, man. It's humbling when you realize what you don't know how to do or what you can't do or what, you know.
For sure.
But the point, it's not really even about that. It's about, are you at least there? Did you at least show up? Did you at least show up because you're doing it out of love, because out of a sense of duty, loyalty, wanting to honor your father and mother, wanting to honor your employer, wanting to actually do right by them? You're holy, man. When you do that, you're holy. I always tell people, like going back to that thing of you know, you are a lot you know, if you're willing to get down on your knees and you're willing to scrub the floor with a brush to clean, that is way holier than making a video on YouTube and I'm over here thinking I'm cool and then I'm educating people. No, the little old lady that's you know that's out sweeping, you know, whatever, out sweeping outside and doing actual difficult, hard work that is really humbling, that's holiness.
100%.
That's holiness.
Yeah.
We have our minds on the wrong things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
It's good that you say it because,
yeah.
you know, and bro, this is like, I just hate the little corny terms that come with
Right.
it, but like, we're influencers. I hate the term.
That's crazy, man.
But it's true. I mean, like,
Yeah.
like, God has put us in this position to where there's a level of responsibility to where, like, you know, what are we doing with this thing?
Right.
But to everybody else, it can become like, whoa, like he's this guy, like he's this famous guy or whatever, you know? And it's just a natural thing. I think it's human nature. Like you see this guy's a lot of followers, like you become this like position of authority.
Right.
But it's good for them to hear it from us directly. Like, we're just dudes. Right now, you guys watching, we're dudes smoking cigars. We're sinners, right? Like, it's just, there's no difference. You know what I mean? And I think it's important for people to hear that because in their mind, maybe they think like, oh, Alex got it all figured out.
It's
Isaac's
funny.
got it all figured out.
It's funny, again, going back to when I go to my dad's shop and like they're, you know, some of his clients that go, people that just stop by and they need their car fixed and they'll see me there at the shop and they're like,
what's he doing here?
they know me. And they're like, wait, dude, we watch your videos. What are you doing here? I'm like, oh, that's my pops. This is my shop. I'm out here helping them out. And I'm all covered in oil and I'm all dirty and greasy or whatever. And I'm just, you know, yeah, they think that there's really nothing too glamorous about this. You know what I mean? Here's another thing. Holiness isn't glamorous. That's another thing. Holiness is not glamorous. Holiness is getting up in the middle of the night when your child is sick.
That's right.
And you got to give your child medicine, and your child is crying, and you got to, you know, help put your child back to sleep, and you know, maybe you're up because your wife is sick too, and you don't want your wife up, so you're gonna go and you got to take care of the baby. That's holiness. That's holiness.
Yeah, you're right.
You know.
Yeah.
So
I learned those lessons often. Like being a young father, like God makes it very apparent a lot of times. Because it's hard, bro. I mean, we have young kids. I told you we went back to back, like real Mexican mode, you know? I got a 16-month-old baby.
Beautiful.
It's amazing. They're such blessings, you know? But I have what they call Irish twins. Like my babies are 1 year and 6 days apart.
Yeah.
So right now it's like,
that's awesome.
We're fully in crunch time all the time, right?
Oh, yeah, I bet.
My boy, he started walking a few months ago. He has a totally different temperament than my baby girl. She's super sweet. My boy's like a fighter. Like he has got some anger. You know what I mean? He's got anger.
Yeah.
But you know, I learned these lessons where God will clearly show me like why being a father in this vocation. It's work, bro. It's work, but it's holy, like you said.
It's holy work.
It's holy work, man.
And that's what. So liturgy, the word liturgy, that's what it means. Liturgy is the holy work of the people. You know what I mean? When you are a good father, when you're a good husband, when you're a good son, when you're a good leader, you're honoring God because you're not squandering the responsibility that He's given you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's holy. It's work. It's supposed to be work, but it's holy work. It makes you holy. You know what I mean?
I can see how and why like marriage will sanctify somebody.
Yeah. It's a sacrament, man.
Dude, I see it with me and my wife.
It's a sacrament. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And because it's not something, it's not easy. Like it's something that's difficult, you know?
Right.
But as men, it's like, and we got to start changing this narrative, you know, especially with the stuff we see in the secular world. But we got to talk about this. Like, it should be. It's not gonna be sunshine, rainbows with the wife. You're traveling, taking trips. It's not gonna be this way at all. No way. I mean, the reality is it's sacrifice. You know what I mean? That's the real thing. You think about getting married?
If God calls me to it, if God allows me to do it, man, I would love to have a family, man. I would love to have a family if that's, you know, I've, you know, gotten this far just letting, you know, God's will be done in my life. That's one of those things that I always go back and forth about.
Yeah.
There are times that I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm being called to marriage.
Right.
There are times that I'm like, hey, maybe I am being called to marriage. Honestly, I don't know. But like, if God wanted me if God wanted to bless me with a wife and kids, like I would be the happiest man in the world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, is that what God wants for me? You know, and if so, yeah, man, I would, you know.
How do you discern things? What is your process?
Well, My process is I pray and I say, God, again, holiness isn't like glamorous, and it doesn't, a lot of people think that, the holy, it's like very like deep and like mystical. Me, it's like the opposite. I'm like, I'm very just honest, just blunt with God. I said, God, if you don't want me to do this, please stop me. Please don't let me do this. Like, I'm an idiot. I told God, I'm so stupid. You know how stupid I am. If this is not what you want for me, please don't let me do only bring me what you want me to have, and I'm gonna go for this. And if you don't want it, I trust you, God. I trust that you're gonna keep me from this. And if you allow it to happen, then I trust that it's your will. So it all just comes down to just trust. It just comes down to trusting that God is gonna put you where He needs to put you. And my philosophy on it is just if I'm here and I'm doing it, I'm going to assume that God is allowing me to do it. And then, in the situation, if there's something that, feels off, or that I know, violates my conscience, then I know that I shouldn't be here, And doing that, I'm always in good situations, and good fruit usually almost always comes out of the decisions that I make. Not because I'm such a good decision maker, but because I am totally trusting that God is going to keep me from the things He doesn't want me to do, and that He's going to put me exactly where He needs me. So my discernment is just, God, I think this desire is from you. If it's not from you, then don't let me go through with what I'm trying to do. Please stop me. And if it is something that comes from you, Lord, then I'll go for it, and I'll give you all the honor and glory. And we know, because you always test everything according to what God has revealed. So always test everything according to God's revelation, to His word. What does the church teach? If you have a desire for something, you want to do something, and it doesn't violate any of the teachings of the church, then go for it. And if it's not God's will, just make sure you pray beforehand and say, God, I know that this wouldn't dishonor you. This is not going to dishonor you, because I want to live according to your word, according to what your church teaches. So if I know that if I were to do this, like if I were to go and pursue a wife, right? That doesn't dishonor God. Going to pursue a wife, that doesn't dishonor God. But if it's not His will, I'm saying, God, if it's not your will, don't let it work out. Don't let it, step in and pull me away and put me somewhere else if that's what you need. And I have had times, many times in my life where things that I thought I wanted, things that I really loved, things that I thought were from God, that He took them away. And that's cool. If God takes it away, take it away. It's all good. You
want to, what were those things, if you don't mind sharing?
So we talked a little bit about this earlier while we were eating. I was a professional actor. I acted. I worked professionally. I was like a working actor. I'm talking auditions, getting roles, doing all that stuff. Like I was a working actor, working every single day. And I loved it, man. It was to this day, I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about arts. I'm passionate about that kind of that genre, that medium of art,
For sure.
And I was doing really well, and I thought it was God's will for me, and then He took it away. Even teaching, like being a catechist at the parochial level, man, God took that away from me.
Interesting.
God said, no, you're not. No, I don't want you to teach. And He took that away from me. And I know that it was God's will to take it away from me, because I would try and go to different, parishes or whatever. Hey, I can teach for you. And they're like, no, we don't need you.
100%.
Relationships that I've had in the past. Relationships where I've had relationships with girls that, hey, this could be my wife. God took it away. So it's happened more often than not. You know what I mean?
But there's one thing there that you're saying that's like, you're asking him, which, you're prayerful about, like, okay, I'm going to take this shot, but if you don't want it, boom.
Let me miss. If I take the shot and it's not your will, let me miss the shot. And if I miss the shot, then maybe that just means, hey, then God didn't want it, But the important thing is that you do everything faithfully, earnestly, and try hard. Try your hardest and be, be disciplined about it. And if it doesn't work out, okay, then maybe it just wasn't God's will, and then move on. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I've always lived my life.
It makes total sense. I mean, with music, I can relate to this too. We were talking a little bit earlier, but like, that's still something to where I struggle with discerning.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you think about this stuff too, but you know, something that really fascinates me is spiritual warfare. And it was one of the, I guess, like one of the main things that kind of bridged the gap for me more so into Catholicism, because I was fascinated by it. I was curious. I was like,
Right.
And also I got my butt whipped so bad by demons when I was first reverting that I needed to know. Back to the wanting to understand what's happening, the truth, this seeking of like what's going on in my life. So once I started like learning more about spiritual warfare, like I think the first book that I read was it's called Slaying Dragons. Have you read that book before?
I think
Charles Fron, I think, was the author. I don't know if he was a priest.
I know it, but I've never read it.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like, to me, it felt like a manual on how the demons interact.
Right.
And so once I read it, I was like, oh, it's like studying a fight or studying a fighter.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's the same thing. I'm like, oh, it's like I watched film a million times. So when I started to see like what was happening, I was like, okay, now this makes more sense to me. You know what I mean? So when it comes to music, like as far as discernment, I go back and forth in my mind of like, okay, is this something that you wanted me to do? Right? I told you before, I've had like angry conversations with God in my car out of frustration, but maybe that was in hindsight him telling me like no, because I tried so hard and it just didn't work. I mean, he definitely took it away from me pretty blatantly, but I even tried after I was reverted to be like Catholic R&B guy. You know what I mean? That was my first thing before I started Catholic Warrior. Was I was really trying hard music and I just kept hitting my head against the wall. Nothing was working. And then what's crazy is this is how I first saw you, was when I finally raised my white flag and I was like, you know what, God? Okay, I hear you. You know I'm going to do this? And it was painful, bro. It took me years to get there, even after my reversion, because music was something that I just so dearly attached to. It was my identity. It was everything in my life. And to let it go was heartbreaking. Because I reached that point. I remember, bro, I'll never forget sitting in my little freaking Toyota Camry beater in California outside of the apartment. And I came home from work like late one night and I'm just bawling tears in my car because I gave it up. I told him, I was like, okay, it's yours. Like, I don't know why you don't want me to succeed because I'm so good at music. But you obviously don't. So I gave it up to him. And then, big old truck passing. And then I started to see your stuff on TikTok as well. And I was like, this guy is raw in the sense where like, yes, he's brilliant and he's an apologist and you're doing these videos that help me understand my faith better. But the edge is like, he's like me. I can just tell, right? I can identify. And like back to what you're saying, not that it's bad that we have like different individuals part of this body, right? Because everybody serves a purpose, you know? But for a guy like me, bro, it was just really fitting. So now that we're speaking, you're telling me like I was a boxer. All these things make sense to me because I can soak that vibe in just from the content. I was like, this dude's real. He's been punched in his face a few times.
I have,
I could just tell. You know what I mean?
I have.
Man.
You know, it's good to be, like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing to be rough around the edges. Because I think that's what's kind of needed nowadays. You kind of need the guys, because the world is so rough around the edges that sometimes when someone comes and they're trying to present the gospel and they're trying to share the faith, and the world looks at a person that's too perfect, a little too clean, a little too, it's like, but then when someone like maybe this guy like me, I mean, if I come along, or anybody that comes along and they see me, I talk a certain way, I carry myself a certain way, you know, you can tell that, hey, if you want to, you know, I'm down for a fist fight if you want to,
he's with
like,
that.
And it's like, hey, you know, like, you know,
they can connect.
You can connect. You know what I mean?
It's
like it's
yeah.
You know, I'm a little. Again, don't be cookie cutter. Be yourself. You know,
for sure.
Be yourself authentically, but be holy.
Yes.
Be the holy version of yourself. Don't try and be the holy version of Saint Francis.
Right.
You know, to be the holy version of yourself.
For sure.
God wants you to be you, authentically you. God wants you to be the best version of yourself, the holiest version of yourself.
Yeah.
But still be yourself.
Dude,
you know?
That term right there, because, okay, you've heard this buzz term, like the best version of myself, right?
Yeah.
I like better the holiest version of myself.
Holiest, there you go.
That's you right there.
There you
wow. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, man.
I think it's like, it's something that a lot of guys, especially the guys that I talk to that are interested in coaching, right?
Yeah.
Plenty of them, their biggest struggle isn't necessarily like the basics that I see, whether it's like nutrition tracking or not working out or whatever. It's mainly just like spiritual issues.
Right.
That's what I see mainly, right?
Right.
But it all coincides. It's like, okay, if there's a lack of discipline in one of these areas, it's very likely that it's going to be in all of these areas, right? But it all starts at this like spiritual foundation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's another thing I was going to ask you is like, do you, in your ministry, I would assume that there's a big target on your back, so to speak, as far as like demons are probably not happy, like you said, that you're doing this great work.
I think that's for sure.
For sure, right? But do you ever experience, these things blatantly? Like, are you attacked in a way that you can recognize often or no?
The devil always knows how to get you, man. The devil knows how to get you. The devil knows how to press your buttons.
Yep.
And for me, it's interesting because, you can go to, we can take a trip to California or wherever we are, Jersey, wherever we are. You can have all these people that come up to you and they sing your praises and they want to take pictures, they want to shake your hand, they want to, they meet you and they're so excited to meet you and they make you feel like you're a celebrity or whatever. And then you go home, I go home to my family and I'm this great guy out in public when I'm, when I'm being voice of reason out in public, and then I come home, and then in my personal relationships, I'll get into fights.
Yep.
With the people that I love, the people that are closest to me. I'll be a bad son, or I'll be a bad friend, or I'll be a bad whatever. I'll be a bad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my brokenness kind of shows, and I think that the Satan knows that I love like my family more than anything else.
Yeah.
I love my family more than anything else, so he attacks me through that. He tries to, he knows that I'm impatient.
Yeah.
And so he pushes my buttons with the people that I'm the closest with.
Right.
And I lose my patience and I say stupid things and I hurt people's feelings.
Right.
And after that's said and done, I realized like, okay, God, Satan, Satan is attacking me, closest to home. You know what I mean? My family, my parents, my sister, my close friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I get it, man.
That's
I get it.
That's when it.
For
And I'm
sure.
like, man, like,
Dude, I appreciate you just keeping it a full
yeah, man.
buck, because like, this is why I know sometimes it sounds like my style sounds very brash and it sounds like, oh, wow, this guy's talking about like him smoking weed and like doing drugs and all this stuff. But the reason I say it is because like I still have the same urges in a lot of ways.
Right.
For some reason, weed never, okay? God, for whatever reason, just took it out of my life.
Right.
I've never had the inclination, like, I just never turned back, which is amazing. Thanks be to God. Thank you, God, for doing
Thank
this.
God, man. Thank
because
God.
that is a total blessing. And that was the thing that I thought would be the hardest to like rid myself of as far as like my vices.
Right.
But you saying that, bro, it's very similar for me, where like people view me as like this certain figure, right? Back to like the influencer thing or whatever. But like in my personal life, in my family life, I'm also attacked, not only like through my relationships. So like, for example, in hindsight, I can see the warfare happening between my wife and I.
Yeah.
Because the devil hates this marriage. I know he does, right? I'm the head of the house. I know my place spiritually. So I am the threshold into my household, right? And I'll always notice these things after the fact. But bro, like so often, even to this day, I have these temptations of like watching porn still. I have this massive temptations of like fully just
bro,
being a full degenerate
you and
all
me
the
both,
time.
man. You and me both, bro.
You know what I mean?
It's real, man.
It doesn't
it's real.
go away, man.
It's real. It's
a fight. It's a bloody fight. It really
Bro.
is. You know? It's good for people to hear that.
Yeah, oh yeah, man. Like, it's not, like, this is a battle, man. This isn't.
It is.
You know what I mean? This is a battle. This is every single day. I have to choose to live by God's grace.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always think of, I think it's either Romans 10:13 or 1 Corinthians 10:13, where it says that God will not allow you to endure any temptation without giving you the grace to be able to escape it.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
So if you feel the temptation, just because you were tempted, you know, according to God's word, and we know God's word is true, you know that there is a way out. God is always provides you a way out. God will never give you a temptation that he doesn't provide you a way out of.
Right.
So when you feel that temptation to drink or to do drugs or to fornicate or to abuse yourself through watching things you shouldn't be watching online, or, you know, whatever it may be, if you feel it, if you really got the urge to go and, you know, do whatever, just know
there's a way
there's
out.
a way out. God has given you a way out, and you can take that way out. You can take, all you got to do is just say, God, help me cooperate with your grace, please. And there's a way out.
Yeah.
Bro, I can't tell you, man, like, every day I struggle. I wake up and I struggle with it. I struggle with like, ask anyone that knows me. My biggest sin is anger, bro.
Yeah.
Ask anyone that knows me, man, is anger.
Yeah.
Anger.
I've seen you in the comment section.
Talk to my boy behind the camera, man. Those long drives back from California, man. When we're doing those long drives, like, this man, like, you would not believe some of the words that have come out of my mouth when I'm talking to my man, right, my man Roots behind the camera, and he's probably like, man, this fool is crazy. This fool is like, because anger, man. That's always been my biggest thing is anger.
This
man.
is the voice of reason.
This is the voice of reason for real. Like, this is the dude that's like, you know what I mean? And anger, man, has always been my biggest thing. But again, God provides a way out of it, man. God provides a way out of it.
It's a good
Always
point.
keep that in mind, you know?
It's a good point.
And if you fall to the temptation, man, it's because you didn't see the way out, you didn't take the way out.
Yeah.
You fall to the temptation, it's either because you're very weak, or you just love that sin and you just want it because and if that's what it is, if you love your sin more than God, that's what you call mortal sin, man.
Yeah.
Because I love my sin more than God. I know what God wants from me. I know what God is calling me to. And I would rather have this. I would rather have my drink. I would rather have my women. Right. I would rather have my drugs. I would rather have my fame, my fortune, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we call mortal sin, because you love other things more than God. And it doesn't even have to be things that are sinful.
Yeah.
Right? God gave you a talent, man, for music. God gave you an amazing talent. You were so good that you can have one of the biggest artists in the world listening to your stuff, right? God gave you this amazing talent, and I think that sometimes God gives us these talents and God tells, you know, God's question to you maybe is, do you love me more than you love what I gave you? Do you love me more than this talent that I gave you?
Yeah.
Do you love me more? Because if you love this talent more, I can cut that out really quick, and I can make sure that you don't get anywhere with it, because, you know, God is a jealous God. God, more than anything, wants your love. God wants your love, you know, because God is owed your love. We owe it to God to love him, because he gave us life. We owe it to him.
We owe him everything.
So if we love our talents more than we love God, if you love your wife more than you love God, or your kids more than you love God, or I hate to break it to you, but none of that's going to work out well for you.
Wow.
Because you need to always be oriented towards, you know what I mean? Like, this is how you know you're at the level of holiness where you should be. Ask yourself, what is it that I love the most in this life? And then ask yourself, if God were to take it away, would I be cool? If God were to take it away from me, would I be good? Would I still follow God? Would I still be faithful to him, even if he were to take it away? If God takes voice of reason away from me, am I still going to be faithful to God after that? Am I still going to make it to Mass every single Sunday without ever missing, ever? Even if voice of reason goes away? If all of my followers leave me, if all of the comments stop coming in, if I'm not making any money anymore off of YouTube or TikTok or whatever, if Roots leaves me and he doesn't want to work with me anymore, and I can't do voice of reason anymore, am I still going to be faithful to God?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. I would rather die than not be faithful to God. And that doesn't mean I'm perfect. I mess up so much, but I would never willingly want to. I would never want to be voice of reason more than I want to be a follower of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man.
And I can honestly really say that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only reason that God is allowing me to do this, to be voice of reason, is because God knows, because I know about myself that I sincerely love him more than I love doing this. I don't care about being an influencer. I don't care about none of this.
Same, bro.
I've been following God to the best of my ability since I was 14, 15. Long before I ever imagined that I would be doing this.
Yeah.
So I think the only reason God allows me to do this is because he knows that I'm not going to let this get in the way of following him.
Right.
You know?
It's beautiful, man. And look how he's blessing you and using you for bringing souls to him. And you know, like,
praise God, man.
Bro, what you're speaking to, I relate in the way of my process when I first came in, or back into the church rather.
Right.
It's the same process that I will give my clients to this day. It's never changed. And because it's so personal to me, the same thing that what you're saying. When I first reverted, I had no idea what was happening, to where I needed to like figure out how I was going to maneuver in my life from now on, because it was such a drastic 360 of like, I'm living this rock star rapper life now I'm going to try and become a holy Catholic man. Like, you're
leveling up, bro.
Bro, that's a full 360.
You know how many rappers and musicians and pop artists and famous people are so miserable?
I know, man.
Miserable, bro. Miserable.
Plenty.
Miserable, man. Yeah. Like, bro, you're leveling them up, dude. No, you're leveling them up, bro.
Thank you.
You're leveled up. You know what I mean?
I appreciate it.
Okay, Drake listened to your song on IG Live. That's cool. But bro,
I know.
When you're in God's grace, you're in God's grace and you go, you can receive the Eucharist.
Yep.
If you can receive our Lord Jesus Christ, body, blood, soul, and divinity in the Eucharist, man, who gives a shit if Drake listened to your song on IG?
Straight up.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Who
cares,
have to
clip
man?
That, Johnny.
No, who cares, bro?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Straight up.
Kendrick is better anyway. Anyway, so who cares, man? You know what I mean? So
no, for real.
So yeah, man. Yeah. Like no one.
I get it.
We get to receive the Lord Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, it's the biggest flex ever.
That's it, man. You won. You won.
Facts.
You got a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, and you get to receive the Lord. You know what I mean? You won, bro. You won, baby. You're a winner. You know what I mean? You have the most important things. So everything else is just extra, man. It's extra. You know what I'm saying?
You sound like my guardian angel a lot right now, honestly. It's like my guardian angel was in my ear.
If I'm saying anything good right now, bro, it's only because God is letting me, because God knows I'm a fool. I'm such a fool.
Same.
And if he's allowing, if it's your guardian angel that's whispering in my ear and telling me to say it, I give up thanks to God for that, man. It's not me, man.
Yeah, man.
It's not me. It's just.
I feel the same. I really do.
I just want to be holy, man.
You know what my process was when I was first reverting, okay? Like, honestly, at the height of the spiritual battle that I went through was when I made a very important decision to live separately from my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. Okay?
Right.
We had a very hard conversation with the priest, because we were going to go through marriage prep as correctly as we could.
Right.
Because granted, this was our situation at the time. Right. We were renting a house, and I had no other place to live, and neither did she. Okay, she came from California. She left her whole family to come be here with me, right? Yeah. And we lost our child, and like now we just have to figure it out. So, and now we're going through this reversion, and then I proposed to her, and we're going through this very early stage of marriage prep. So this priest told us that we at least would have to live separately within the same house. I already knew it was coming because I was learning about the faith, and I knew it was going to happen. But I also knew that it was going to be a battle emotionally with my wife, right? Man. It was going to be a tough battle because initially our bonds we were bonded through sin, essentially. Like it was premarital sex, it was drugs and alcohol that I got her into. It was this whole idea of me that she connected to, and now I just flipped it upside down on her, and I was like, now we have to be part of the Catholic Church.
Now we got to behave. Now we got to be holy. Now we got to be.
And that's hard for
leave
her.
all that behind. No,
that's for sure hard. Especially in her shoes, I give her all the props because for her it was probably more difficult than it was for me, because as men, like I was in the mindset like, okay, give me the fight. Let's fight. I'm ready to fight.
Yeah,
now I have to deal with the emotional waves of the woman, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, we made the decision. It was very hard. And there was an extra room in our house, and that became my room, okay? This was basically like my Padre Pio room is what it turned into.
That's
Dude,
fire.
I started getting beat down in that room by demons every single night, bro, for months. Beat downs. I'm talking like, I told you a little bit earlier, I legitimately accepted in my mind that I was losing my mind. I'm like, maybe I'm
Going
schizophrenic.
crazy. Yeah.
Maybe I'm going crazy. Genuinely, those are my thoughts.
Right.
Because they were so vivid and powerful attacks where I would see them, like I told you, not really in dream state, but like as I'm waking up, I would see them just nonstop, right?
Right.
So again, back to me learning just the basics of spiritual warfare, that gave me, you know what it gave me? The playbook, like in boxing, right? Study a little bit more, you train more, now you can see patterns or drilling, right? I mean, even in sparring, you see patterns, right? From your drills that you're running probably, right? You start to see shots, you're able to pick your shots. Like, it was the same way, but I knew I had to develop a process. And the process that meant the most to me was every single day, every morning, I wake up 4 a.m. I discipline myself to be up at 4 a.m. I get up, no matter what demonic dream I just had or whatever, I would grab my rosary because I kept it clutched to me.
Warrior.
Every day.
Warrior.
I would go make my cafecito. I would pray my rosary every single morning, read my daily readings.
No better way to do it.
And I journal.
No
you know what I would journal,
it.
bro?
Yeah.
I would write to my future children who are now here. This was years before they were here. I would write to them. I have the journal. I have a little purple notebook in my desk.
That's beautiful,
and I wanted to attach myself emotionally to it so much to where I was like, the vision was so far ahead. Like, I will not let you down. I will not let you down. I would write to them every single morning, call it my 5-minute journal. Set a timer, 5 minutes, right? Pray my rosary, drink my cafecito, read the daily readings. That was my get down every day. And then I go smash the hardest workout ever. Every single day, okay? This is the same thing I teach my guys to this day.
Beautiful, bro.
Because the same thing you're saying.
That's hard, bro.
Bro, if this all came crashing down, right? If God wants us all to be taken away, if I lose all the followers, if nobody cares about me anymore,
you already won, dude.
Bro, you remember that video of Andrew Tate where he's like smoking the cigar after he gets out of jail?
Oh yeah.
In his room, like pacing. That's how I feel when I'm doing it.
That's how you feel. You feel like you're coming out of the hyperbolic time chamber, man. You're in your sand armor and you're
like a warrior, you know? Catholic warrior.
That's hard, bro.
That's where it was birthed. And you know, Alex, bro, when I was going through that, the seed of Catholic warrior was solidified in my mind then. Because you know what? As I got more in shape and I changed my life and God gave me all this grace to like literally become this warrior through putting me through the fire. I was going through the fire. I realized, and I started looking at all the men around me. I was like, they need this. They need this. I would look in the pews at mass. Dude, freaking 50 pounds overweight. He's fat. He can't freaking take care of his kids, right? His kids are running around. He's like, and I'm thinking like, what does he do at home with his kids? He probably can't even play with them. We can't like move around with them. And I, not out of a place of like shaming these men or saying that they're bad, but like,
you want them to be the best version of themselves, the holiest version of themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yep. You know what I mean?
Of course.
The same thing you're saying. That's like, to this day, man, like, that's the get down that totally changed me. And to our ladies, this is something I wanted to talk to you about. Our ladies' impact in my life and in my reversion was so powerful, bro. Yeah. Like, I had this memory. I want to tell you this. I was still early in the reversion days, but I was still smoking weed. I've told this story before. Hold on. When I first learned how to pray the rosary, it was at the very beginning still of my reversion. I had no idea how to pray the rosary. I always just knew of the rosary, right? Because it's like a cultural thing. But in the morning at my mom's house, I would go on Laudate, that Catholic app, and there's a virtual rosary in the Laudate app, right? And I would roll up a blunt. Simultaneously, I'll be smoking and learning how to pray my rosary. But I just think it's the best visual to understand. What, God will give you what you need wherever you're at. You know what I mean?
That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful because it shows that you're.
I'm trying.
I think that when God sees that, man, God, like, I think, like, imagine, like, your father and you see your son and he's messing up, but you see that he's trying.
He's trying.
And, like, that means everything to you, that he
100%.
sincerely wants, like, there's something about that that's, like,
Yeah.
it's, like, it's very endearing, like if you're, like, when you see your child, it's, like, it's cute.
100%.
Like, that's when you pull out the camera, you're like, oh, look, my
what
son,
he's
he's so
doing."
cute.
Yeah.
Look what he's doing. Like, he's totally messing up my couch or whatever, but
Yep.
look, he's,
Yep.
you know, he's cute and he's trying to be
Yeah.
big. He's trying to be whatever. That's
Same
you,
thing.
man. Like,
Same
that's
Right?
that's beautiful, man.
Powerful visual.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's
I think about
powerful.
that now. I'm like, wow. And the same way that you just explained it. And at the time, I was still stuck in, like, I was really big into numerology and astrology.
Yeah.
All this stuff that I know is obviously demonic now and horrible. But at the time, it was like a big part of my life. And, you know, I would walk around my mom's neighborhood smoking my blunt. And there was this one night, I was really fascinated with this sequence of numbers of 444.
Yeah.
Okay? And I just dropped this album called 444.
Like
and-
Jay-Z. Jay-Z has
yeah,
an album,
he does have 444.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of copying Jay-Z, low-key. But you know, I saw it on this license plate of this car, and I was like, "Whoa!" I was all high. I was like, "My angels are with me," or whatever.
Oh,
I thought
man.
it was so
Yeah.
stupid, right? And as I'm walking down the street, there's this house, and my attention is drawn so much to this sign. It's like so well lit, and it's this beautiful image of Our Lady. And on this sign, it says vividly, "Pray the Rosary." And
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I should pray the Rosary.
Yeah.
And that was like the night before I started to learn, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Which is so fascinating, bro. It's just like how God does this,
Yeah.
and specifically Our Lady, because she was so prominent in this first part of my reversion. It was like, come, my son, come here. Let me show you, right? Come here, Mio. I kept hearing this from her, like a good mom. Like my mom. She's like, I love my mom to death.
Right.
And that's what she did to me. She basically coddled me back and gave me to her son, is what she did. We are in New Mexico. We got those kinds of trucks.
Sure. We got the Cholo mobiles passing. Man, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah, man.
That puts a big smile on my face. To, you know, Our Lady, man, always comes through and knows exactly when we need to see something to inspire us to get closer to her son, man. It's humbling, man.
Yeah, man.
Our Lady's always there, just trying to help us get back to our Lord.
Yeah.
Man.
The Rosary has been just probably one of the most impactful parts of my journey in my spiritual life.
Right.
Because it's a warrior's weapon, man.
Yeah.
It's really a warrior's weapon. It truly is.
Man.
There's nights where I would go through these attacks in that room, and all I had at the time was just to clutch it. I would just clutch it on me, and I would just ask her to help me. Please help me. And I would feel better, so I assumed like maybe she'd come handle business for me. I know the demons are super scared of her. They don't want to have nothing to do with her.
They tremble.
They straight tremble. And but even throughout the course of this like reversion over time, you know, I've had this rosary that my cousin made for me at the beginning of my reversion, and I've had it to this day, 5 years now. It's super important to me, and it's third class relic of like so many different freaking amazing saints, right?
Right.
My favorite saint is Saint Faustina. I love Saint Faustina.
Yep.
Almost for the same reason, because of the fact that she was like the least likely, right? Like I think she came into the convent, she couldn't read, right? They would make her do like all the like little dumb tasks of like, you know, you do this, you can't really do anything else.
Right.
From what I know of her. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you know more. But I mean, are you familiar with her?
Oh yeah.
Her visions as well?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, her diary, have you read her diary?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man. She was.
Wow. Incredible. You know, totally changed everything for me at the beginning of my reversion. Reading her diary, and just, I really connect with her in her writing. I feel like I attach myself to her in a way to where I can understand her really well.
Yeah.
Her style of writing, how she thinks about things. I mean, granted, I'm sure a lot of this is inspired as well. You know what I mean? As she's writing her diary like this. But there was this one time when I was in Oxnard, there was this Polish priest who had come to our parish.
Yep.
And I knew that he had her relic. I heard this from the previous mass, and I was like trying so hard to get there to see her, right? And I was coming back home from work, and I was tripping, bro. I was like, I have to. I was praying in my mind. I was like, God, please let me see her, right? I was already late. I was coming back home, and I was like 10 or 15 minutes late, and I thought I wasn't gonna make it. Parked my car. On my way into the church, I see this priest walking across the street, and I just knew, like, there she is.
Yep.
There she is right there.
Yep.
He has her. And I came up to him. Bro, it's crazy how God will align all this, right? This is all grace.
Right.
And like clockwork, I walk up to the priest. I'm like, hi, Father, how are you? Introduces himself. Just the most stoic dude ever, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, are those relics right there? He like pulls them out. I'm like, can I please touch my rosary to her? Is that St. Faustina? And he just doesn't say a word to me. Reveals her, I touch her, and then he tucks her and just walks. He said no words to me other than his name. I was just like, wow, dude, you know? How many times does that happen in your life to where it's like super clear that God's just like, you know, lining
looking out for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Does that happen to you too?
Oh, yeah, man.
All the
Like
time?
every day, man. It's almost like an everyday thing where, it's like I see miracles like every single day, you know, of God just taking care of me, God making sure that things go right, that I do right by as best as I can by my family, my partner, man, my friends, my loved ones, you know. Yeah, man, all the time. Like I see, it was crazy because we were in California, and we went to go interview a priest, a Chaldean priest, you know, Father Simon. He's the man. We went to go talk to Father Simon, and on our way there, we were in San Diego. That's where he's from. On our way there, we stopped at this coffee shop because I needed coffee, man. I was like, I need my coffee before I talk to Father Simon. I want to make sure you know, I was like, we were driving from, I think Anaheim. We were in Anaheim, right? We had to drive from Anaheim to San Diego that morning to meet Father Simon, and I'm like falling asleep at the wheel, getting to say, I'm like, yo, I need coffee. So we stopped at San Diego. We get coffee, right? And when we walk into the coffee, and we're actually going to a different coffee shop. Because my man Roots, he put on the GPS, oh, this is a coffee shop over here, let's go here. We park our truck, and as we're walking, you know, we're walking to this coffee shop, we pass by a different coffee shop. And I pointed out, I said, hey, look, and I tell him, like, yo, check it out, look, why don't we just go in here? And he's like, all right, yeah, this looks legit, let's go in there. We walk in there, and the girl that's at the front, at the register, right? She has her back to us. She was like, you know, cleaning or making coffee or whatever, and she has a sweater with the Blessed Virgin Mary on it, right? And it's like a really cool, really fly sweater. And I see it, I'm like, yo, I like your sweater's really nice. And she was like, I guess she recognized the voice, she's like, hey, she's like, aren't you talking to Father Simon today? And I'm like, how do you know? And she's like, I go to his church, like he was telling us last night that he's gonna talk the voice of reason, your voice of reason, like that.
Wow.
And then my man Roots, he's like, yo, let's take a picture of this, of where we are, the coffee shop, and let's just post it on the story. You know, because, you know, she was so cool with us and it was her family's business. And he's like, I want to promote it, you know, that way people can come and get coffee here. Sure. He posts it, and then just a few minutes later, we get somebody responded to the story, and it was Catholic Answers. Catholic Answers, because they're based in San Diego, and they're like, yo, you're 15 minutes down the road from our office. Wow. He's like, you need to come and talk. Like, we need to talk to you. We want to talk to you. You need to come to the office, and we need to talk to you. So just because we just happened to stop at this one coffee shop. Met a girl that happened to know who I was. I know that we were talking to Father Simon, and my man decided to post the story of the coffee shop just to kind of help her family out, to promote her coffee shop. Catholic Answers saw that. We went to go to so I went to go talk to Father Simon. That was amazing. We had an amazing interview. After we wrapped up with him, we went to go see Catholic Answers. We went to the office. They showed us around the office. It was crazy, man. Like, these were the people that I've looked up to since I was a teenager, bro. And they were coming up to me, and they were hugging me, and they were like, can I get a picture with you? And it was the most surreal thing ever, man.
Beautiful.
And then They're showing me around the office, man. Like the president of Catholic Answers comes to talk to me. He wants to like give me a job. He want all this stuff. And then he takes me to like where they do their radio show, and they're live on the radio. And we go in, and everyone's at the controls, and they're doing it. You know, they're live on the radio, and it's like a sick operation. Yeah. And they're like, hey, you wanna get on the air?
No way.
I was like, what? Like, yeah, walk in. It's like, you know, walk in the booth, throw a headset on, and I was on the air.
No way.
I made my Catholic Answers debut.
Wow.
Just because my man Rhodes posted a picture of our coffee. And Catholic Answers saw that we were right down the street, and like, you better come see us. And we talked to everybody. We talked to the president.
Wow.
We formed a relationship. Now we're going to be involved with them. And you know, I was on the air. I talked to Jimmy Akin. I've been listening to Jimmy Akin since I was a little dude, since I was 14, 15.
Salute to the homie Jimmy.
Jimmy Akin, man.
He's the man.
Jimmy Akin is an alien cowboy space pimp from the future.
That's exactly what you want.
That's exactly what he is,
facts,
you know.
Jimmy.
And he's holy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And things like that, man. Like there was, and me and Jonathan, we were like in awe afterwards. We're like, bro, this is only because of God.
Right.
Like this is only like, what are the odds? What are the chances of this? Like this is only because of God.
100%.
You know what I mean?
It's beautiful, man.
It was just.
Yeah.
It was so surreal, man. It was incredible.
He would just light the way, you know? It's amazing, man. I mean, you think about it, like even for you, because you've had these other passions, desires, like I had no idea.
Right.
I mean, it's awesome learning about you, but that's why I wanted to have this pod to where, I don't know if you've done this before, to where we're getting like the deep dive on Alex. Have you done it before?
No, not like this.
This is awesome,
no.
bro.
This is like my first, like, you know.
Yeah. Who am I?
Like, this is crazy. This is cool, man. This is really cool, yeah.
I love it, yeah. I mean, I think it's going to help a lot of people too, because one thing that I find that helps guys is once they realize you're on the same playing field, it's the perfect bridge in, you know? Bro, I can't tell you how many men I speak to that they just remind me so much of myself when I was right there 4 or 5 years ago. I was right there. So we need people to speak on it. And I encourage you, anybody who's listening out there, because we all have a story, every single one of us, right? To share it, really just share it, because you never know how that's going to impact the next soul. And I'm sure you can attest to that, because I've seen so much in this ministry in this brief 2 years that we've been doing it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
It's beautiful, man, what God has allowed us to do, man.
Yeah.
So.
You know, I remember I first hit you up. I asked to train you for free. You remember
did.
this?
That's right.
Oh,
oh, that's right, bro.
Yeah.
You did. That's right. That was like, I think that was like early 2024, maybe.
Right when you first started. It was earlier. It was like 2023.
No, that was like mid 2023.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's right. Remember?
That's right. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That is right.
And Alex ghosted me, guys.
Oh, dude. No, here's the thing.
I'm just playing, bro. I'm just playing.
Nah, you know, it's nothing like that, man. Look at us now, bro.
I know, caking it. I already know.
No, that's crazy. And like, I'm like an old man, and I'm really like when it comes to like Instagram and messages and YouTube comments and all that, dude. Like, I get a million. Like, it seems like I get like a million a day, and I get flooded. I'm like drowning in Instagram, and I got like a million people waiting. So I kind of there are probably people that are very upset with me because I haven't responded to them, dude. Like, I'm really bad when it comes to that, man. Like, I always tell people too, like even text messages, bro. Like,
yeah, same.
Even text messages.
I'm blatantly ignoring the text.
I just calls, bro. Phone calls are the best way for me. Phone calls, because even text, man, I'm like, yo, like I'm an old man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the best way to get a hold of me is through phone call. Like, it's funny because I mentioned earlier my friend Angela, who's one of my dad's clients, that when she saw me over there scrubbing the toilet, you know what I mean, or whatever, she was like, Alex, I've been trying to get a hold of you. I know you're some big celebrity, but you can't even. I've been texting you. You don't respond to my texts. And then my dad was like, hey, don't feel bad. He doesn't even. I text him too. He doesn't even respond to me. So don't feel bad. So yeah, I'm like really bad when it comes to like texting and stuff, man. I'm like, phone calls are the best, but that's right. You did, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's
it's
right.
A trip, right? I mean,
that's crazy.
It's just like how much is
happening. Obviously, I need it. I need to be trained because I need all the help I can get for real.
Dude, you know what's up. You know what I mean? And also, I was gonna ask you too. Like, wait, do you train right now? Like,
I lift weights. Yeah, I train, bro.
Boy.
Every morning I'm at the gym training.
What about boxing? You don't train boxing still?
Lately I haven't, man.
Yeah.
I was, because I got into it 2017, but then the next year I had to go back to seminary.
Oh,
but then when I came back,
Yeah.
I started acting, but then I picked it up again.
Yeah.
And then I'm like on and off with it just because I get, caught up in everything else I'm doing. But
You should get back in the gym, bro.
bro. Oh yeah, man. I want to get back. Yeah, I really should. I really do need to, man.
I'm gonna get back in the MMA gym this year.
Oh yeah.
Last year, my poor wife. I was training for a marathon last year, and I literally chose the worst possible time because my wife she was pregnant with our second child, right?
Right.
And so my whole training block was like throughout her entire pregnancy.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm out here like, and it takes time, bro. I mean, I trained for a year. I've never been a runner, but I wanted to do it because I knew it was gonna be hard. I knew it was gonna beat me up. So anyway, shout out to my wife. Love you, baby. She held me down.
Amen.
Super pregnant with our little boy. You know what I mean? It was hard, bro. But I told myself, like, this year, okay, chill out for a little bit. Let her do her thing. She's into fitness. But I do want to get back in that MMA gym. Big time. It humbled me, bro. Talk about humility. I got beat up by a girl my first freaking sparring sesh. Straight up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Them girls, bro, especially those who've been training for a while, they know what they're doing, bro. Bro, there was some girls, when I was training going to the boxing gym, dude, there was a few girls that were doing their thing. I saw them working the bag, whatever. I'm like, yo, I don't want to spar her. She'll crack me, bro, for real. It's crazy, man. Back in the day, me and my man Roots, man, back in the day, this was back in, like, what year would it have been? Like, remember when we used to go out to run at the, we used to, this was,
too?
This was, oh, dude, my man could get down with MMA.
I like how he's secret about it.
MMA, bro. My man could get down.
I like how he's secret about it.
My man, oh, he's so humble, dude. He's so humble, man. But we used to get up. This was like before he was married, before any kids. You know what I mean? We used to get up early in the morning too, bro. Like early in the morning. We used to go to our old elementary school, and we used to run the track there. And then we went to where he went to high school, and we'd run the track there, bro. And I love running, man. I probably can't do it now but back in the day, bro, when I was like in shape, you know what I mean? Like I used to run backwards. I used to run miles backwards. I used to be able to do it backwards. It's just part of boxing training. My coach was like, you got to do it backwards. So I'd be running backwards, and I just made another mess.
You're good.
Yeah, man, that was back when we were young and beautiful and in shape, and you know what I mean?
It's never too late, man.
Oh yeah, we need to do it again, man.
You know what it is? It's the food. That's the biggest part.
It's the food, bro. That's always been my biggest problem is the food, man.
Yeah, if you grew up a fat boy like me,
bro.
Up.
If you saw my baby pictures, dude, I'll show you when we get up here. You're gonna be like, yo, son, like they should have put you on Weight Watchers as soon as you were out, son. They need to put you on a diet, son, because I was a fat. I'm still a fat baby. You know what I'm saying? I was.
Bro, you gotta get jacked.
Huge, bro. I know, dude. I do. I need to, man.
Imagine Jack voice of reason. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
Imagine Jack voice of reason. Come on,
hey man,
bro.
Back in the day, like, cause I'm an old man, like a lot of people, like I'm like pushing 30, but back in the day, when in my early 20s, man, I remember the other day, my man Roots was at my crib, and he saw like a picture that I have me and my sister when my sister was confirmed. I was a confirmation sponsor, and he saw me, and this was when I was like 22, whatever, and he's like, yo, son, your jaw, man, you're like, oh, and I'm like, nah. He's like, what happened to you, fool? Like, you used to be like Jack, you used to be on that, you know what I mean? You used to be yoked, so look at you, you're in the picture, like your jaw was all defined, and he'd look at me and he'd be like, damn, like, what happened to you? I'm like, yo, son, like, you know, we're old, and yeah, man, like, we gotta get, me and my man, we're always talking about too, like, we'll do our trips to California or whatever, we'll eat crazy food and just whatever, all these carbs, whatever, sugar, and then we're like driving back home and we're like all like sick from all the food we ate, and we're like, yo, son, as soon as we get home, man, we gotta get chiseled. I'm like, we gotta get chiseled, man, we gotta, you know what I mean?
Every dude's combo.
Yeah, man.
I mean, dog, honestly, last year, like, I was real lean for a while, and then when I started training for this marathon, if you used to run like that, for sure. Doing road work, boxing, running a lot. But you're so hungry, bro, all the time. Oh my goodness, and especially with my tendencies, which are yours too. If you want to gorge and eat food and binge and all that, I gained a lot of weight. I ran that marathon at 220, bro. 220. I was heavy running that marathon.
I'm like right now. I'm like 205 right now, bro. I'm heavy. Like my walk around weight should be like I should be like 180 at the most. I'm like 205 right now. You know what I'm saying?
If you're super lean, like you probably like $175. Honestly, I want to get down to $175, 180 in that range this year. You know what I mean?
Me too, man. I need to, man. I need to get back to my prime form. You know what I mean?
I got you, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Let's do it, man.
I got you.
Let's do it. That'd be
Don't
great.
ghost me this time. I'm just kidding.
Never, bro. Now you know how to call me. Call me straight up on the phone, man.
I'm gonna straight call you.
That
Hey.
Instagram stuff doesn't work, ladies and gentlemen. Like
Facts.
if you're trying to get my Instagram, is not a very good way to get a hold of me, or even
right.
texting, man. Even like call, phone call. I'm an old man. Call me on the landline. You know what I'm saying? That's
Straight
the best way to
up.
get a hold of me. You know?
Yep. It's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
I love it. What time? Where we at? 8:59. Yeah. Dude, we had a long little yap sesh right now. Wow.
Bro, I had so much fun, man. This was a great conversation, man.
I'm burnt on the cigars too. I'm not even gonna try again because I ashed all over myself.
Oh, I mean, what it is, it's the wind too, man. The wind kind of messes it up. You gotta. It's because with the conversation is so good, you forget to puff on it. You know what I mean? Because to keep it lit, you have to like puff on it like every so often, and then if you forget, and then it'll go out. Because it's no, don't even worry about it, bro. You're good.
We're like
then
this
you still
whole
gotta.
part.
You could probably save that. You could like tomorrow. You could probably, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like I said, just cut it again, light it up, and you're good. You know what I mean?
Smoking it too, right? I don't need to find a hideout place like you. Have you seen the Arnold meme? No.
The
Arnold Schwarzenegger meme. Where
which one?
He's like, I don't need to find a hideout place to smoke my
Oh
stogie.
yes, because he's
some ballsy.
He's like, I don't care what my wife says if she doesn't. I'm a man. I get to smoke whatever. Yeah, he's like, I love my stogies. Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah.
My guy.
We gotta get chiseled like Arnold, bro.
Straight up, it's time.
Chiseled like Arnold.
My man. Well, thank you again, man. I appreciate it. Both of you guys just coming down. This is amazing. We're in my father's house.
Yeah, man.
Years later.
Beautiful home, man. Beautiful home. Here we are. This is beautiful, man. Like, I want you to know, bro, we're brothers, bro. You and I, we're brothers. You know, I thank you and I thank your pops for letting us here, me and my man, you know, come here and, you know, you guys have treated us so well and, you know, this has been just the best, man. So thank you so much, man. This was an honor and anything you need, bro, you let me know, man. I always got you, man.
Absolutely.
I'm always happy to do anything with you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Thank you. And no, I forgot to start in prayer, so I figured we finish.
We'll end it.
With
we'll
my
end in
favorite prayer.
Yes, sir.
Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
So, from the Spirit.
Amen.
My brother, God bless you, man. Love you, bro. Thank you so much. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you hit up my man's, all of his pages. Tell the people, man, where to find you and all that.
Catholic Warrior podcast at Catholic Warrior Podcast on IG.
Yeah,
and then I have the personal is Catholic Warrior Fitness.
Yep, there you go. IG. This will be on your podcast. It'll also be on my YouTube channel at Voice of Reason.
Thank you,
brother. Thank you so much. Everyone, make sure you check out my man. Check me out too, whatever it is. Thank you all for watching. Glory to Jesus Christ.
Amen.